Hi, I'm Bob Trask. This is our weekly reset. Thanks so much for coming. Let's start with a meditation. If you could just, for a few minutes, come into complete relaxation. You close your eyes and begin breathing through your nose. And realize, if you will, that you're breathing the beautiful, beloved spirit of creation. You're breathing the great mind of the universe. You're breathing on the greatest level possible yourself. You're breathing yourself into yourself. And that cherished and beloved universal mind, which doesn't have any of the ego or any of the doubts or any of the fears or any of the opinions or beliefs that your brain has, that great self that is you, is flooding with its grace into every cell of your body, awakening, healing, and bringing into harmony that cell and all the other cells, so that your entire body, every organ, your heart, all the organs in your body, all of them are all in harmony, all in cooperation. Feel that now. Feel it inside of you. Let yourself be healed. Let yourself be made young again by the bounty of the universe. Slow down. Just slow down. Allow peace to seep through your system. It's coming up through your feet, coming up through your legs, up through your lower body, up through your intestines, up into your chest, and all the organs of your chest, including your heart and lungs, all up into your shoulders, relaxing. That peace, peace, peace flooding down through your arms, out into your fingertips, where you can feel its vibration, up above your shoulders, up through your neck and your face. Peace, peace, relaxation, and assuredness that all is well. Throughout your brain, around your scalp, your whole body now, electric, electric with life, with love, with the divine energy of all things in all times and places, both visible and invisible, all part of the one great mind. And you, O dear incarnation of that great mind, you are free. You are loved and blessed and safe, and you are free. You're loved and blessed and safe, and you're free. And when you come back to us, come back with this beautiful, peaceful, loving, open, flowing self Leave the other self behind. Thank you. Thank you. So today we're going to talk about, here's the subject. You can set yourself free now. And when the world isn't, what's Bob talking about? I am free. Come on, get serious. I'm free. I'm not in prison. I'm not in jail. I'm in a marriage. Well, for some of you, that's enough freedom. but you could change that. So the question is simply, are you feeling constrained? Are you? Do you feel like you're kind of boxed in? Do you feel like it's unlikely that you'll ever reach your dreams? Do you have dreams? Have you had dreams that, have you had kind of a vision of your life and of reality and of something that's really called to you since you were young? And maybe you're young now, and you still have that alive in you. And some of us older folks, maybe we've covered that over with a lot of self-doubt, so that it's all cemented under the driveway now, and we can't assess it so easily, but it's still there. And that divine calling inside of you was there when you were born, and it has a purpose. And the purpose is to pull you out of your small s self into your large S self, into your large self, so that you can become who you came here to be, which is far more than who any of us are right now. Because the truth of it is, and I'm not saying anything bad about you. I'm not saying, gosh, you failed at life and you haven't done what you're supposed to do. That isn't true at all. You are exactly where you're supposed to be right now, and you're perfect. Yeah, I'm not saying that you're not perfect. You are absolutely perfect where you are right now. The question is, where do we go from here? And in the rest of your life, I don't care how young or how old you are, in the rest of your life, there's a path calling out to you. And at the other end of that path, there's a light. And that light's calling to you, calling to you to come toward it. And in the process of going toward it, you go along a pathway, don't you? It's like a pathway through the forest. And sometimes it's narrow and sometimes it's wide. Sometimes it's flat and sometimes it's steep. Sometimes there's rocks and brambles in it and sometimes it's smooth. But that's your path, that's your life path. And every time you come to one of those big stones in the center of the path, or brambles, or a falling log, or whatever that you have to scramble over or under or around, each one of those is there for the purpose of expanding you in your consciousness. In consciousness, when I say consciousness, I'm not talking about a mental attitude. I'm talking about a sense of self, who you really are. That consciousness, that sense of self expands each time you come to one of those obstacles. If your vision is still out there ahead of you, if you're still being pulled forward by the light. But if you now focus your attention on the bramble or on the log or on the rock, and that becomes the focus of your attention, then that now becomes your vision. So when we focus on our problems, instead of focusing on our solutions, then our problems grow. So if I wrote down my problem on a piece of paper, whatever that problem was, and then just started writing all the possible solutions, doesn't matter how bizarre, just write them all down. In all of those, somewhere along the line, you're going to start feeling a sense of freedom. Oh my gosh, I can get past this. And in the getting past that, something happens inside of you that expands your consciousness, expands yourself. So exciting, so exciting. Then everything that we see in the trail or in the path ahead of us that obstructs us is actually a blessing, isn't it? It's not a hindrance, it's a blessing. because it gives us a chance to grow. So I came to a little stream. I didn't want to get my feet wet. I tried every way to get across the stream. I couldn't. So finally, I just waded through. Why would I wade through and get my feet wet? Because the stream is not my vision. The light at the end of the path is my vision. And so get my feet wet, so what? What I didn't know is that down the road a little farther, there's an even wider stream. And I'm going to get wet up to my knees. And then farther down, there's one even wider and deeper, and I'm going to get wet up to my waist. And then eventually there's going to be one I have to swim. But if I didn't cross that first one, I'd never get to this one. And I'd never know how to swim. So every step forward is a step in self-empowerment, self-strengthening, self-wisdom. And it just keeps growing and growing and growing. But see, here's the thing, is that and I know this because I also, at my tender age, I've lived through a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about, and I know where it goes. And if you get constrained or tied up by the situation you're in, then you're focusing on the situation you're in rather than on your vision. I love trees. Trees are my heroes. I love trees of every kind. I just love them. You know what trees do? From the time their little sprouts stick up, little green nubbin from the forest floor, that moment on, for the rest of their lives, which may be 100 or 1,000 years, for the rest of the time on, you know what they do constantly? Constantly, they reach for the light. That's why they're my heroes. And fires come through and burn part of them, and lightning hits them and tears some limbs off, and some bugs get into them and eat part of them, and all kinds of things happen. And another tree that's not too far away falls over and leans against them, and now it's leaning against them. That tree never stops reaching for the light. That's its vision. The streams, the rocks, the brambles, all the stuff in its path are not important. What's important is reaching for the light. And if you and I do that, and when I say light, I'm talking about your inherent vision, the fulfillment of who you are as a unique individual in this universe. For all time and space, you're the only one. And what I'm talking about is the fulfillment of that. That's the light. And you might say, well, what I want to do is I want to have a 1,000-acre cattle ranch in Montana. Cool. That's your vision. That's what your brain tells you is your vision. And it's cool. It's cool. Go do that. And when you have the 1,000-acre cattle ranch in Montana, how will you feel? That's the vision. How will your life be? That's the vision. How will your consciousness be? That's the vision. That's the light. Where we're going is to total fulfillment of our lives. Here and now, in this universe, in this lifetime, you cannot afford, I cannot afford to be dissuaded, distracted, pulled apart, disturbed by other stuff. All the obligations in your life, all those obligations, if you see them as obligations, they're constraints. If you see them as opportunities, oh, obligation, oh, opportunity. If you see them as opportunities, then they're the logs in the or the brambles or the stream crossing your path, and you just say, cool, this is cool. And then you accept it, stop resisting, totally accept it, bless it, and just move through it. Just move through it. And then we grow. And then we get to the place where we feel ultimately satisfied with our life. And here's the thing, is that I have that vision, 1,000-acre cattle ranch in Montana, a best-selling book. Doesn't make any difference what it is, whatever your vision is. Doesn't matter how large or how small. Once you attain that, that's just a step. From there, a new vision occurs. There's always a new vision. So my advice is don't put your vision way, way out there. In my lifetime, I want to do this. No, don't get all hung up in that. What do you want to do this week, this month, this winter? What do you want to do now? What's calling to you? Be willing to take small bites out of the watermelon. Don't try to eat it all at once, so that you are pulled forward step by step by step along that vision line, along that mission, along that pathway. And then you can feel ultimately satisfied with your life, your relationships, your abundance of wealth and health and happiness. Robin Seeger said, "Our personal power is found in the force of our thoughts. It is our real strength." Can I repeat that? Robin Seeger said, "Our personal power is found in the force of our thoughts. It is our real strength." That's what we're looking for, right? Personal power. How do I get through all this stuff? How do I get through all of these doubts and these fears and these opinions and anxieties? How do I get past my family telling me who I should be rather than who I want to be? How do I get past people who obstruct my vision or who obstruct my past? How do I get past all of those? Our personal power is found in the force of our thoughts. It's our real strength. There's so many parts of our life that we feel like we can't guide. If we guide our thoughts, all of the rest of it follows. If we guide our thoughts, all of the rest of it follows in line. Here's a question. If you had a magic wand and you could wave it over your heart, just wave it over your heart and create anything that you wanted, anything, what would it be? What would it be? Now, I must tell you up front that what that can't be is that I want somebody else to get their life straightened out, or I want somebody else to do this or that with their life. What we can send healing energy to people, we can send love to people, but we can't get inside of their heads and change the way they think. That's not our business. That's their path, and they have to walk it. It's not in our power to go inside anyone else and reorganize them. So now, for those of you who might just be stopping by to see what this weekly reset's all about, and you haven't done any deep thinking about who you are and what you're doing on the planet at this time, this might seem a little bit far out to you. But this is our message for today. You can set yourself free, free to do what calls you from your heart. That call from your heart is your vision. It's your sacred beckoning to leave your comfort zone. Leave your comfort zone. Comfort zones are like early coffins. They're just places we hang out. I think I think of you get in your car and you say, "I'm going to this place and I'm excited about being there and I'm looking forward to being there." And as you're zooming down the freeway, you see a car pull over to the side of the road and there's a guy leaning against the hood drinking his coffee. And you're thinking, well, maybe he had a flat tire, or maybe his engine blew up, or maybe he's waiting for someone else, or maybe he doesn't have a vision. And it's scary being out here on this freeway when I don't know where I'm going or why I'm going there. So why just pull off to the side? And as you're driving along, if you look over there to the right, down there to the right on that lower area, you'll see that parking lot with all those cars in it. Those are all the people who aren't even on the freeway. They don't even have a vision. Or they had one when they were born, but it got ironed out of them by their parents and by their churches and by their schools and by their governments and by all of the authorities that told them who they should be rather than who they are. You should be this, you should do that, you should this, you could have, you would have only if you had. What about who you are? So, I mean, we don't really spend a lot of time raising kids, telling them, just be who you are, just be you. And know that you are a strong, good, honorable person. And we don't put that into them. We try to get them to come into line with society's ideas about what a person should be. You're going to go out of the house wearing that. You're going to wear those. Why not? That's who I am today. So the call from your heart is your vision. It's your sacred beckoning to leave your comfort zone, the box, the parking lot behind, and go become you. Helen Keller, who was both deaf and blind, incredible woman. I mean, imagine being both deaf and blind, can't see and can't hear, and yet she became one of the most influential people in the world. She made contributions that changed our lives. And she said this: the most pathetic person in the world is someone who has sight but no vision. The most pathetic person in the world is someone who's sight but no vision. Thank you, Helen. There are people who created and are creating miracles in our world every day. They reach into the improbable realms of hope and they do the impossible. They do the impossible. Walt Disney, I think, was famous in saying that he enjoyed doing the impossible. And part of that, somebody else I think said, is that one of the neat things about doing the impossible is that there's no competition. Who are those people who do the impossible? Who are those people who do that, who do those things? They're just plain people, no different than you, except for this. They're willing to think large. They're willing to get outside their comfort zones and follow their vision, follow their hearts. They're making amazing things happen in today's world, like somebody that's providing education and jobs to thousands of homeless people. Imagine going out on the street and seeing 100 or 1,000, or in some cities 100,000 homeless people, and saying, "I'm going to provide education for as many of these as I can and help them get jobs." Imagine doing that. There's somebody else that's restoring forests and reefs around the world. Somebody else is making medical care available for everyone on the planet. That's their vision. And they're on their way. You mean you're hearing all this bad news about, oh, this is falling apart and that's falling apart. These people are starving and this plague is going on here. How about the people who are making a difference? There's somebody who's designing a social platforms to prevent wars, and it's being effective. Someone's finding connections between consciousness and materiality. There's not just one person, there's a bunch of people, but one person that I have in mind, and you're going to hear that name in a minute, is actually interfacing between consciousness and material reality. Pretty amazing. Ending pollution and stopping climate change. Who are these people? One of them, Kristen Davis, listen to this, she's working with rats. I know most people, particularly women, said, "I'm not getting near a rat." She's working with rats, and she's training them to do such nifty things as detect landmines. which are really dangerous in third world countries. And also, she's teaching them to detect tuberculosis and end its deadly spread around the world. I'm going to give you the names of some of these people who are busy making our human family whole. Dr. Larry Falwell, Malcolm Gladwell, Robert Winston, Hillary Clinton, Anil Seth, James Parr, Noam Chomsky, Ali Parsa, Isabella Tree, Greg Asner, Alex Stephanie. Did by chance, did you hear your name? And didn't hear mine either. I'm still on my path. I haven't been making the great contributions that I came here to do yet, but I'm on my way. How about you? You know what? None of these people first decided to do something. That's not what happened. Like I said, you have to find that vision and follow it. But the first step in that wasn't to follow the vision. The first step was they had to be something. They had to be something before they could do something. Because you can't do something until you be who you are. That's why we teach meditation. Because meditation helps us learn to see who we are beyond our egos, beyond our thinking process. Marianne Williamson, God bless you, Marianne. God, you are such a great leader, such a great inspiration. Marianne Williamson said, achievement doesn't come from what we do, but from who we are. Our worldly power results from our personal power. Achievement doesn't come from from what we do, but who we are. Our worldly power, our external power results from our personal power. And our personal power comes from love. Now, when I say love, I'm not talking about that gushy, romantic stuff. That's nice. I love it. It's really beautiful. What I'm talking about is the power of the universe, grace itself, the great mind. That's love. And that's flowing through you right now. Can you trust it? But where would the world be without those people who did step out of their comfort zones? I mean, where would we be right now if somebody didn't invent the wheel or writing or nails? Think about nails. I mean, the construction of the world is held together by nails. It was a big invention. The Wright brothers, who imagined that people could fly, and everybody said, oh no, they can't fly. Are you kidding? Oh, you guys are crazy. Scuba, that you can actually swim deep under the ocean while breathing and investigate that part of our planet that's so large, it's larger than all the land put together. Penicillin saved hundreds of millions of lives. The automobile, refrigerators. When I was a kid, I remember being a kid, and I remember the guy would come, the milkman or the iceman would come with this big tongs, and he'd have a big block of ice on his shoulder, and he'd bring it in and he'd stuff it inside of our ice box. And that was in 1927 when they invented refrigerators and glass windows in houses and cars and planes and boats and test tubes and eyeglasses, compasses, light bulbs. All of the glass itself, incredible. Telephones, computers. Every day there's new realities being born. Every day somebody's doing something new. Somebody's reaching out. What can you do? What can you be? Are you willing to step in out of the shallow water that you've been so accustomed to and swim into the deep end and trust that you can make it? And if you think you can't, then you can't. Dr. Ben Sweetland, who is one of my heroes, said, you are what you think you are. You are what you think you are. And your personal power isn't something that's going to reveal itself someday. Your personal power only appears when you use it. You become powerful in that very moment that you choose to be. And finally, Susie Kassem, who's just an incredible author and a beautiful, beautiful person, said the following: I've been finding treasures in places I did not want to search. I've been hearing wisdom from tongues I did not want to listen. I've been finding beauty where I did not want to look, and I've learned so much from journeys I did not want to take. Forgive me, O gracious one, for I've been closing my ears and eyes for too long. I've learned that miracles are only called miracles because they're often witnessed by only those who see through all of life's illusions. I'm ready to see what really exists on the other side, what exists behind the blinds, and to taste all the ugly fruit instead of all that looks right, plump, and ripe. My dear one, you can set yourself free now if you're willing to risk just a little bit, step outside of your comfort zone. Please remember, you are in the act right now of creating your tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you for being with me in our weekly reset. Bring friends next week. See if they enjoy it. And if this has been good for you, would you stop by my website, bobtrask.com, and leave a donation so we can keep these weekly resets growing? Thank you. I appreciate that. And now, if you want to stay with us for the next little while, we're going to be discussing some of the things that I was talking about. And so stick around if you can. And if you can't, I understand. I love you, and I'll see you next week.